Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining the first session of the Sustainability Insight. Firstly, I would like to introduce our organizing team from UNESCO Jakarta. My name is Sachi Suzuki, JFIT Coordinator, and Kairal Haslan, MFIT Coordinator, and Felicia Angelina, Assistant Program Coordinator, and Gani Mulia, and Graphic Designer, Chiptaya Matsusanda, ICT Assistant. Today, we are going to focus on the sustainability in the new normal. We proudly present Professor Shahbaz Khan, the Director of UNESCO Regional Science Bureau for Asia and the Pacific as a moderator, and Professor Dato Dr. Mazlin Bin Mokhtar, Director of the Institute for Environment and Development, University Kebangsaan, Malaysia, as our guest speaker. We are ready to take your questions through the Q&A space and the comments at our Facebook page. You are invited to fill the attendance list form, which we will share at the end of the webinar. This is required, especially if you would like to receive the certificate. That's all from me. Professor Shahbaz, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, dear Sachi. Very welcome to Professor Mazlin Mokhtar and all those colleagues who have joined us through this Zoom session, colleagues who are on our live Facebook, and colleagues who will be able to see this particular video, the full 30 minutes, and the 10 minutes summary video, and a product of 3 minutes key messages. So you are welcome to interact with us and continue to interact together. Today, we are going to explore the concept of sustainability, and especially in the new normal. Let me start, first of all, with Professor Mazlin. I'm going to ask you some insightful questions and your journey as a sustainability scientist, professor, mentor, and so many different positions. One of the most interesting facts about the university where you work, UKM, is now 50 years old. Leicester, the institute which you had and you have nurtured over many years, is 26 years old. And also the concept of sustainability science is not new. You and me have been working together for more than 13 years, and we have organized many things, including in 2013-14, we had a major initiative about sustainability science. So tell us, what do you understand? What is sustainability? Why it is important? How UKM and Leicester has been working on it, and what we have learned so far.
Thank you, Professor Shahbaz. Thank you so much for inviting me and your colleagues from UNESCO for inviting us to be the first discussant, so to speak, on sustainability issues. Yes, as you rightly say, Leicester had been there. Quite a journey for us, 26 years. Out of that, 50 years of University Kebangsaan, the national university. We are very thankful indeed with the founding directors of Leicester when Leicester was formed 26 years ago. This group of professors, the director and the co-directors of Leicester, they had the vision of bringing sustainability science, even though at that time, the concept of sustainability science was not that clearly spelled out and are in the minds of people and generations of today. This is indeed really special, where for the first time in the country, Leicester was formed to bring in researchers coming from social science and humanity to work together with the natural scientists, the science and technology experts, so to speak. So it is unique 26 years ago. And with all the many good deeds and projects and programs that you had mentioned, including with UNESCO, we have managed to have some influence on the ground and also high up in the government hierarchy to bring sustainability science into good decision making. And with that, the flow of accurate and precise scientific data and information are brought in into good decision making and policy making. Okay. So all this cannot be simply happening with only knowledge, but it must have the right champions and leaders. Alhamdulillah, we have been blessed with some of the good leaders, which I can deliberate a bit later.
Yeah. So, dear Professor, so sustainability has many forms of interpretation by people. So many people have said it's social, economic, and environmental pillars.
Right.
Many people bring other aspects, especially people, politics, and the wider aspects of planet. Let's go a step further from your very good start with where the journey has started and the champions have come. Um, there is also a need to be well grounded in communities. So, to be well grounded in communities, we have UNESCO sites, and that's where we have three very important sites. One is Langkawi, which is a global geopark, where Leicester also has a very important lab there. The other one is Tasik Chini, which is a UNESCO Man and Biosphere site, where again a wonderful site is there. And the third one is the concept related to water, the holistic approach about water, the hydrology for environment, life, and policy. And that's where the Langat River Basin and Putrajaya Lakes, with many concepts we introduced there. Can you please give us some ideas why it is important for a university and institute to be well-founded among people and with those sites? And in the process, what we have learned, and as things have changed with COVID, how it changes our relationship with those sites. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shahbaz. It's all about systems, Shahbaz. In order for sustainability science to work, it must work well in systems, economic systems, ecological systems, social systems. There you go. Our leaders and champions, and of course, the next generation who came into Lestari for PhD and masters, and our partners, the institutional partners, individual partners. We have that vision where the system must work well. As you rightly say, the concept of sustainable development is beautiful, saying, oh, economics must work together with social and environment. But as you know, ever since it was mooted during the WCED way back in 1992, economics has always been at the dominance level, whereas environment is the last of the agenda, but not today. Along the way, we have managed to bring up environment to be mainstream into the economic sector of a country, particularly developing country like Malaysia. And rightly so, in order to make things work, sustainable development must work at the lowest level, the local level. As we can see in almost all the countries in the world, policies are beautiful, no problems at the federal level, the top level. But the challenge is, if you bring it down to the state level, and the more challenges are at the local level. So this is where we have come up with what we call the living labs. Living labs of Global Geopark Langkawi, living labs of UNESCO Biosphere Reserve Chini, and the other one is UNESCO IHP program, demo site of the lakes of Perbadanan Putrajaya. All these are working well because academia and experts are linking up with the top government and those who are in authority at those local levels. And at the same time, we realize the quadruple helix. We bring in the business and industry people, we bring in the NGOs and community. Nothing will work if the important stakeholders don't come together. We also, in Malaysia, Alhamdulillah, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Higher Education have always give importance to bring in the concept of balancing all this knowledge of social science and humanity to be tagged along and connected with STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and all. This is top agenda for the country until today, but still challenges are there, it's working. Now, talking about Global Geopark, we are the first in Langkawi, we are the first in Southeast Asia, 52nd in the world. And we are becoming good examples to some other country in our region. And what is beautiful, all these leaders and the next generation of researchers and experts begin to catch the eye of the several state authorities in Malaysia and local authority. And today, under the leadership of Emeritus Professor Dato Ibrahim Komo, they are busy advising state governments to come up with national geoparks before they can become global. As you know, to bring us to sustainable development, there are a lot of integrated and holistic approach. Some go through water resource management. Some go through geology, geoheritage. Some go through biodiversity and all that. We celebrate all that. So we look at what is the interest of that particular locality. We bring in the right leader, the right team, and we bring partnership to work together. SDG number 17 is the most important at all levels.
That's good. So now you've just mentioned a very important topic, the SDGs. When we started the sustainability science work within UNESCO, and you were one of our first partners in Malaysia, and we started with Japan Funds Interest, we strengthened this relationship with the Malaysia UNESCO Cooperation Program. So from Millennium Development Goals, we have moved to the SDGs. There's still many people who think that we will not be able to deliver. And sustainability in terms of SDGs and their delivery and lagging on critical goals like the SDG number 6, for example, on water. There are still big challenges. And now we have the COVID wave, which actually has complicated the situation. All the economies have slowed down. So what is your take, Professor, for us to accelerate SDGs? What is the role academia, the United Nations system, and the wider society must play?
Thank you. One offerings coming from Lestari and UKM is that our expert professor researcher offer ourselves as the memory keeper. We know that government officers, very often they are being transferred from one ministry or agency to another. And normally, some of those officers, when they move on to other positions, higher positions, some or rather they are being challenged to transfer whatever knowledge or files or information to the successor. This is where I think the special characteristics or elements that we have at Lestari and UKM is we offer ourselves as the memory keeper and work closely with certain agencies and divisions of agencies so that the continuity of the integrated holistic approaches are there. There you go. In terms of memory keeper is one thing. Another thing is to work, we must be brave, and we must have stamina. Experts and champions and leaders from Lestari and academia, we must be proactive in our action, offering ourselves to work with government, business sector, and NGO on the ground, so that sometimes these sectors, we don't blame them. All of us are being trained in the, how should I say, in a very sectoral basis, discipline based. But when we come to the real world, we are faced with a lot of challenges that demands various disciplines and various stakeholders to come and work together. But in order to do that, leaders must be brought in. But of course, in doing this, ethics must be safeguarded. Ethical leadership will become a strong foundation for high integrity aspects of a certain process or program. Anyway, strong leadership. You must be brave, you must have the stamina. If you notice, Lestari professors, once they get engaged into a certain integrated holistic approach on the ground, they remain until for that 26 years, Shahbaz. They are still there. Ibrahim Komo is still there. Samad Hadi is still there on urbanization. Chamhuri Siwa on the economics. We are still working and working. Must have that stamina and must have that patience, because leaders on the ground in various levels of government, they keep changing. So offer that memory as a memory keeper. Offer yourself also as a capacity builder. So three things must be strong: awareness, advocacy, capacity building. Awareness, try as much as possible in the newer way, particularly in this COVID-19, how we capture the experiences whereby Malaysia having difficulty to achieve some of the integrated holistic approaches of sustainable development, but comes the COVID-19 pandemic, alhamdulillah, with the right leadership and the right Director General handling it, we became one of the top 10 countries in the world handling all these issues rightly. Communication must be good. as we learned from the Director General of Health of Malaysia, every day he comes out to national TV. He brought in factual data and information. And at the government level, Prime Minister, senior ministers of the government, they brought in all the different ministries, ministers, and directors general coming from various ministries and agencies through what has been called Majlis Keselamatan Negara, National Security Council. You see, when there's a pandemic or a disaster, in this case, a human health disaster, everybody works smartly together, transparent. Data is being shared. How many people are contracting the disease? How many are in intensive care unit? All are very transparent. So if we bring it to other situations, for example, water resource management, if a certain river is very polluted, it's dead, too much contamination and pollution, we imagine the Director General of the future in Malaysia will also rise, come up to the mass communication channel like television and all that, share the facts and information with the people on the ground. Once we know the situation, you accept the problem, then we move to the next stage, finding solutions together. You don't have to be scared that you are alone. It is SDSN, Sustainable Development Solutions. We find the solutions together.
Let's take it one step further, Professor, now.
Yes.
There are very interesting reports from many different countries with the COVID situation, especially the role of knowledge, the science and technology, and for the ministers to be able to understand the causes, the science and technology which is available, how to interpret data, and how to give the right kind of knowledge to the public. That needs a lot of interaction and support from scientists. And how do actually scientists link with the politicians? Politicians do not have normally that much time available to them. How do you link with them? Do you send them a Twitter tweet or send them an email message? Do you go and meet with them? How do you actually link with them and link it at a level where they can see the value, what comes from, I would not just say science, from the knowledge people like yourself and the champions you have mentioned?
The keyword is take proactive action. Sometimes you have to brave yourself to knock at the door or send Twitter but luckily the leaders of today, they are also very sensitive to the demands and expectation of the current citizen of today. They can't run away. When they could not answer certain queries and questions, they also contact us at the academia and also experts from the business and all that. But the main thing is, I would like to encourage that leadership shouldn't be only at the top hierarchy level. Leadership must happen even at the middle and also at the bottom level. This is where, moving forward, the kind of trainings that we need to share and impart with the next generation is that no matter where you are at your workplace or you are at your residential association, you must be brave enough to take leadership at that level. Once you take that up, you must be brave that you must also realize that, hey, we don't expect you to find solutions on your own. You are not alone. Look around you. There is always a university nearest to you. There is always a clever people in a research institute nearest to you. Also at the same time, in a particular ministry and department, we also have leaders like directors general. For example, I was sharing with some friends the other day that we are very happy today that the agenda of SDG are being championed by ministers themselves and certain ministries. Last year, Ministry of Economic Affairs championed Sustainable Development Goals. Today, under Tan Sri Muhyiddin government, Economic Planning Unit, Prime Minister's Department is championing SDG. They are taking leadership. They are doing great things like, now they are embarking on an ambitious program like looking at transforming the water sector to become an economic sector for the GDP in 20 years' time.
That's very good. Okay.
And for Department of Statistics Malaysia, the Director General of today are very brave to look at how Malaysia can report on 242 indicators of the SDG.
Excellent.
There you go. We work together.
So let's take our discussion to the next level, Professor. We have champions concept. We have to link at all levels. We must link also with the policy levels, and there must be a long-term presence. Let's look into some of the work we have done together, UNESCO and Lestari, and especially with Japan Fund's interest and Malaysia UNESCO cooperation program. So the first example, let's look into the International Hydrological Program, which is about water management. And we have been looking into transdisciplinary approach. And transdisciplinary approach, let's bring hydrology, let's bring social sciences, let's bring economists, and very importantly, people who work in the law. Around 13 years ago, we started a work together, which is what we call Hydrology for Environment, Life and Policy in the Langat River. In the process, many publications have been produced. There are a lot of interesting policy ideas which have come together. What are the key findings which you can share with us? And also the Putrajaya lakes, which have turned the value of water into enormous kind of value for whole of Malaysia by providing Putrajaya with the lake and the system around. So if you can quickly give us idea about what people can go back to that work and how can they use those findings?
You see, Perbadanan Putrajaya, the lakes of Perbadanan Putrajaya has been voted as one of the demo sites of the world under the UNESCO IHP program. And this also did not happen just like that simply. It happened through good partnership with the clever top leadership at Perbadanan Putrajaya, calling in expertise coming from academia, business and industry, and also NGOs. And what we observe about Perbadanan Putrajaya is that the citizens, the people who are living in Putrajaya area, they are educated, so very much aware of the demands and expectation of sustainability and sustainable development. They also willing to pay, willing to contribute in terms of their time and energy over weekends and all that through residential associations, in cooperative assignments of cleaning up their area on certain weekends. So this is very much what we observe in some other parts of the advanced country like Japan, Korea and all that, which had gone through the episodes of dirty water systems, dirty river and all that. But through working together, bringing good science and knowledge, good technology, good tactic, good psychology, everything can work well. And if you come to Perbadanan Putrajaya, that is what you observe. But along the way, you must have citizens who are aware. You got the buy-in from them, and they are willing to pay. And payment, willing to pay, is not necessary in terms of monetary and currency alone. They can sacrifice their time and energy as well. So this is where NGOs and associations are important, Shahbaz.
Okay, so that's why we invite colleagues who are watching us today that link with Lestari for this HELP. For the Putrajaya lakes, so many interesting work has come through with JFIT as well as with Malaysia UNESCO cooperation program. And I'm sure you are open to link and your researchers are open to link. I have a couple of more questions which I want to also explore with you because these questions come many times in our minds. We need longer term leadership. Longer term leadership means, like you remember when we met in South Africa, when I was proposing the Murrumbidgee River from Australia and you were proposing the Langat River, it has been almost 13 years. And the work must continue. People must champion. It must be well grounded into the local ideas and the local needs. But there is a kind of conflict. The academic versus the real solutions, real people, real catchment, real solutions, if you remember. That was our catchphrase. It takes a long time before the change will happen. While the universities want many, many high-level publications to be done now. So how do you manage this conflict between academic and the real change and the sustainable development? If you can quickly give your take on it.
Hey, the best is to look at some of the success stories, like the Putrajaya lakes. It is already a demo site, so it is a success already. So for the whole of the Langat River Basin, which is 2,700 square kilometers, bigger than Singapore, maybe we must move from where the success is at the moment, Perbadanan Putrajaya. And they have super programs that bring in all sorts of expertise and stakeholders and disciplines, working together, finding money together. But money is not everything. Actually, the commitment of the people who are living there, the government who are living there, the business and industry people living there. Second, we can also look at example in Malaysia, the Global Geopark Langkawi, of how Langkawi was unknown then. And look at where Langkawi is today. It is the #1 touristic spot in Malaysia, and it's well known throughout the world. There you go. Previously, Malaysians would go to Langkawi and look at the rocks and the sand. They would step on it without realizing, hey, that's a fossil, 550 million years old. Like you say at the beginning of this webinar, put proper value where it is, where it belongs. So in the case of Langkawi, proper value was brought up by the expert group of Emeritus Professor Ibrahim Komo and his team. Hey, this value you should preserve because it's a global heritage, but at the same time, it can bring income through global tourism, international tourism, domestic tourism, that kind of thing, Prof. Shahbaz.
So there is a value which we have to bring to value proposition must be there. So it should not be academic research.
Right. The best way is work from successful demo sites already happening. And this can become exemplary sites to many other sites around Malaysia, many other districts around Malaysia. So we are watching and learning from each other.
That's really very good. Let me come to the last question. You have been engaged with our Malaysia UNESCO Cooperation Program, which is about South-South cooperation. So linking one country, like for example, Malaysia, we have effectively linked with many initiatives with countries like Pakistan, countries like Myanmar. We have been linking with Indonesia, whole of ASEAN, many parts of UKM have linked with us on that. So why South-South cooperation is very important at the level of a scientist to scientist. You remember the word we use, twinning. To twinning between scientist to scientist, river basin to river basin, geopark to geopark. Yes. But I would say heart to heart. What would be your message to the funds interest like the Malaysia effort of South-South cooperation and the Japan funds interest, the effort which we are trying to bring the scientists from whole of Asia Pacific together? Yeah, what would be moving forward?
So moving forward, of course, we need to bring all the enthusiastic people, passionate people, not only coming from academia, but bring along all the individual partners and institutional partners to tag along. And we are very grateful to the government of Malaysia, ever since about 2009, put in quite a number of millions of ringgit through the MFIT, benefiting about more than 70 countries around the world to benefit on real terms on the ground. Subjects about communication, heritage, culture, sciences, encouraging the girls, the gender agenda, encouraging girls to take up STEMs and all that, vocational training and all that. These projects had been worthwhile and wonderfully appreciated by those people. We knew it. We've gone through those workshops. They want the government of Malaysia, please continue. So moving forward, we really hope that despite the challenges of finance and economics, particularly with the pandemic of COVID-19, we hope that Malaysian government, no matter how small the money is, still can provide this money to continue this good program. That's why in certain workshops, we encourage the usage of MUCP+. There are a lot of other pluses, not only depending on the money, but we can be creative. This is where maybe you can bring in more serious collaboration from business and industry people. Normally, during the old model of sustainability, you go for good economic profit, then you provide little money for CSR. Maybe now it is time. From the beginning, if government, when they move along on the MUCP++ in the future, please straight away we negotiate and bring in business and industry together with NGO and academia. We can be creative, we can introduce much more meaningful program with much lesser money. But learning from COVID-19, Prof. Shahbaz, apart from traveling from one country to another, we also can do sharings like this and transfer our knowledge and information. What's most heartening nowadays is to see young leaders, young researchers coming up into various forms of webinar, sharing their little thoughts and ideas. Previously, you only listened to great professors and researchers, but nowadays, through the social media, almost everyone can come on board and do the sharing. These are the new kinds of things that we can do together moving forward.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that's all the time we have, Professor. We promise we will keep it to 30 minutes. I congratulate Lester for doing wonderful work and all those champions over the years, and for UKM to take leadership over 50 years, and for the Malaysia to stand out, especially this well-informed ministers and the Director General who are taking seriously the knowledge and linking together. So that must continue. So just to very quickly summarize that the real value is in the partnerships, in the long-term champions, be consistent with sustainable development, leaving no one behind, link in with all partnerships from UN system all the way to businesses, and maybe Malaysia UNESCO cooperation program, the next phase we need to link more with the businesses and the local people. Like next time let's have a bigger session on Langkawi and learn from what is being done there. So with this, I thank you. And I invite colleagues who want to get any of these reports, they can get in touch with Professor Mazlin, with myself, our colleagues, Ms. Sachi, who will give the ideas about the next seminar. Please also give us your feedback. How do you find these 30 minutes? And we look forward to linking with you. And Professor Mazlin, I am so lucky and so happy, our friendship for 13 years. This has been a journey together, alhamdulillah, which will continue. And we will continue to deliver together, and for Lester to become a bigger and bigger partner with the United Nations system. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much, Professor Shahbaz and Professor Mazlin, and all participants. Please do not miss our upcoming Sustainability Insight Part 2 on 29th June with Professor Kuniyoshi Takeuchi, Professor Emeritus, University of Yamanashi, Japan, as our guest speaker. The next session will focus on water and disaster. For further information, please visit our Sustainability Insight Instagram and Facebook page. If you wish to receive the certificate on this webinar today, please go to the link at the chat box and answer a few questions. We keep this form open 1 hour from now. Thank you very much again, and we wish you a good day, stay safe, and see you all soon in our next event. Thank you very much.